All right, founders, it is time for another pitch deck critique and review. And this time we've got the startup ahead. This is a second review because the founder went and drastically improved their pitch deck. And I thought the effort really deserved a second review. On top of which, this founder is all but 14 years old. So this founder is 14 years old, which I think is incredibly impressive just to put all this pitch deck together. And we are going to go through it. And I just want to make a few notes that I am going to treat you, Henry, here in your review as an adult. Why is this important? Because you're going to be talking to adult investors, and I want you to experience what it's really like to get this type of feedback and not just be discounted or go, there, Henry, nice kid for being 14 years old. I'm going to give you the goods. Before we continue, my name is Ed Kang. I'm a 7-time funded founder with 2 exits. If we've met before, then you can just skip ahead and use the timestamps. I made it easy for you. You're welcome. If you want your own pitch deck critiqued and reviewed, you're out there. Stay till the end of the video, and I'll give you instructions on how to get that done. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Startups.com. I help hundreds of founders raise money. I myself raised $100 million for my startups, other people's startups, as well as startup funds, run my own channel. You're used to those pitch deck reviews on my channel. I've teamed up with Startups.com. This is a new home for my pitch deck critiques and reviews because we can provide a better service. We can provide better support and a community out there for you. If you don't know who Startups.com is, check out the website. A lot of free resources there. If you're from Startups.com, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your support. Do the YouTube thing, like, comment, subscribe. Always really helpful. Let's jump into this pitch deck critique and review. Okay, Henry. So first off, what you want to do is you want to get a tagline. So you want to be able to explain what this is. So if you say, okay, we're an app helping teens build credit, etc., right? So get a subheadline so that the investor knows what they are getting into as soon as they see this headline. Those are 2 eyeballs, by the way. You want a smiley face because, yeah, I understand what this is. So just saying ahead, and I really like the name. I like the logo as well. By the way, I think this would make a great t-shirt. But saying ahead by itself doesn't mean anything. So get that tagline there and tell us what your pitch deck is going to be all about, what your startup does, what industry that you're in, maybe a purpose statement. Keep it one line, very simple, straightforward. Next, each year, 5.3 million American teens are left unprepared when they turn 18 because they are unable to establish a credit report despite controlling $208 billion in annual spending power. Henry, this is substantially improved. We still got some confusion, so we want to break this through. First, I'm going to venture to say that there are more than that turn 18. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But this number seems really small, but I could be totally wrong, and that's okay. When they turn 18, so this is the scope of the problem because they can't establish a credit report, right, despite controlling $208 billion in annual spending power. I really like that. That's advice that Will Schroeder, our CEO, gave you. These are all fantastic, but I don't think the problem is a credit report. I think it's just generally credit when I understand your solution. So I wouldn't say credit report. I would say they're unable to establish proper credit up until that point in time, despite controlling all that revenue. Because I think anybody can get a credit report, and I haven't looked this up. Like if I go to creditreports.com or I go to any of these other types of, what is it, Karma? I use Karma. You can't get a credit report at 18. On top of which, say you could get a credit report, would a bank or would other people actually establish that? I don't know. Now, your solution is very interesting, so I would just be very clear on saying that they can't establish proper credit, and this is a major issue, a problem that you're going to solve. I like this, but again, be careful if you're going to dive into credit report. Let's explore this just a little bit. Here is the solution slide. Ahead is an app that allows teens to establish credit report by providing them with a co-signed credit card with a parent. Key benefits. Ahead has easy parental management, risk-free for teen users, prepares them for their futures by allowing them to establish a credit report. Okay, so now we want to make sure credit report, is that the major thing? I would say to establish credit, right? Because we can all understand it. Reports and different things come with it. So I like the fact that you've got co-signed credit card with a parent. You don't need all this stuff here, Henry. You've already covered all this up here by establishing credit by starting with a co-signed credit card with a parent. And I know there's got to be more stuff in here. I know that what happens is when they track their finances, you submit the details to the credit bureau to establish the credit report. And I guess it's because the parent is involved. I'm not exactly sure how it works. So if you just expand it and said, Ahead is an app that allows teens to establish credit by providing them with a co-signed credit card with a parent and tracking their finances by submitting their expenditures to the credit bureau. I don't know. like streamline it, but just add that extra component. But like I said, everything is substantially improved. The problem is kids can't establish credit, teens. The solution is they're going to open a credit card, use an app with their parent, and establish credit by submitting their expenditures to the credit bureaus. Here we go, straightforward. Now, if your solution creates credit reports that banks and car loan places actually look at, that's a completely different thing. And I think there's a lot of regulation in that. So I'm guessing it's not, but I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm totally wrong on that. We're going to look at market size. Ahead is targeting American teens 13 to 18 that have access to a phone and no existing credit report. I like it. Great. So the TAM, total American teens. So you need to give me some more information. So it's the TAM. Remember, how many total American teens? Right? So how many teens are there? So if it's really 5.6 million teens times what they'll be spending with you equals 3.96 billion. I don't think that's the case in this sense, but you might be just putting all the buying power. I don't know what you're doing in there, and that's the problem when you're not showing your math. SAM is where you're going to focus. American teens with access to phone, no existing credit report. All right, so how many teens out of that 5.6 million are there? Right? Or is this 5.6 million? You see how now I'm confused because you haven't shown me your math. You saw American teens with access to a phone, no existing credit report, bank. Isn't this the same thing? I don't understand. Now, SOM basically is what you will realistically make. And again, treating you like an adult, Henry, you need to go research how TAM, SAM, SOM works. You've gotten this far, so I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to figure it out. TAM, SAM, SOM, and figure out what the difference is between a top-down and bottom-up analysis. So look up what is top-down and what is bottom-up analysis, and that's going to help you understand how to do the slide, but you're on the right track. Best thing is this headline, chef's kiss, good job. For 14 years old, I'm highlighting it. You did a better market size headline statement than many other founders who are much more mature than you, a lot of experience. So kudos, you're on your way. How it works. Ahead helps teens build credit by reporting their purchases one-time payment to credit bureaus. All right, so I'm right about this. You want to say teen make first purchase. Ahead deducts money from the teen's available funds. Ahead reports the transaction on time payment to credit bureaus. Okay, so this is where you're going to have to explain a lot more in terms of how this actually works, going all the way back to your solution. So the first step needs to be signs up, and that's the credit card with the parents, right? So credit card with the parent. Sorry for my spelling here. I put it all one word. And then 2, then you record the transaction. So you don't have to say teens may purchase. I already know that they're going to make purchase. So basically you say record the transaction. And then what happens is 3, it's actually a deduction from the debit card, similar debit card. So now I know you got your own credit cards in there, right? So you're going to have to make sure that parent opens the credit card. So they have to open it by depositing money is what I'm going to figure out. So there's a lot of steps that I don't have clarity on yet. And then ahead, this is the one that really makes sense for me. I really like this. Ahead reports the transaction on time payment to credit card bureaus. That's actually really good. For me, this is the secret sauce that you're actually going to report everything because you're debiting it and showing that we know how to use a credit card. We know how to pay it. I like this solution. You're just missing some steps explaining how it's going to work in opening credit card, how the credit card thing works, how you record the transactions, all super, super good. And I like the fact, by the way, I like the fact that it doesn't deduct until you record the transaction, if I understand this correctly. So there's a lot to like here. It's just not explained properly, but I do like the simplicity of it. So about Henry, which is great. So about the founder, 14 years old from Darren, Connecticut, start business, first business 7, now developing Ahead. All right. So this is actually, really good. I don't mind that whatsoever. If you're going to say that you've got news press, so that's what it looks like right here, then put news, featured in these news press, right? This is your PR. Put some logos in there. But now developing Ahead, how? Okay, so give me an understanding. So are you learning your own coding? How are you developing Ahead? And that's going to lean on you're 14 years old and you're learning how to code and figure that out. But if you got all these articles that have featured you, explain all that. Put those bullet points to say, I was featured in this publication, featured in that publication. I like where you're going with it. Now, competition, how Ahead stands out. Ahead is the easiest way for teens to build credit while banking. Okay, why and how? Explain to me, expand that headline more. And you've got customer needs, easy to set up and use, teach financial responsibility, all those things, direct competition, all those things, etc. Authorized credit building. Yeah, I like where you're going with it. Just make sure you get your X's in here and put red in there. Now, I don't fully understand your industry, but I like where you're going. You're going to have to get further feedback on this competition slide. Business model. Ahead has 2 ways of making money. Fees for free users and a subscription cost for premium users. Okay, so I don't understand free. It's basically all free if you open up a credit card, don't you? You're going to take transaction fees just like any credit card. So you need to be doing that. I'd study your business model, Henry. So ahead for free, average $101 a year. So fees include credit card transactions. Okay, great. So explain to me how much. So you're going to make money based on transactions, right? So you're going to do subscriptions, subs, and transactions. So I want to know how much in transactions you are going to take. I happen to know credit cards are very expensive to open up. A lot of infrastructures you're going to have to charge that. And then premium, what do I get with premium? Let's read this. Premium offers zero fees, more educational resources. Okay, this is really dangerous. I understand what you're trying to get to. I would question whether this is going to be enough to have no fees for what you're trying to do. But you know what? Let's go with it. I hope you prove me wrong, but let's figure out, what that looks like. But I think that as soon as you open a credit card, this is a premium feature. For example, Henry, let me give you some feedback. As a parent and with a child, and talk to parents about this. If you told me I can help your kid build credit, proper credit from 13 to 18 with proper spending habits, and all I have to do is take $1,000 and put it into a card for them to use instead of me giving them cash or giving a bank card based on going to open their account, like banks are going to offer that all the time. And you said, I'm going to charge you a premium per month at $10 plus $2 per fee plus 2%. I'm not going to bat an eyelash, Henry. Just letting you know. Now, I want you to test this. I want you to go to other parents and say, would this be worth it for you? And get validation. Work with your parents, work with other adults. Because for me, the monthly transaction fee plus the transactions to give my kids financial wherewithal, make them financially savvy, and help them be responsible with their money, and they've got good credit when they walk out and they're age 18, that I don't have to keep co-signing for car loans, etc. Yeah, what's not to like? I would pay for that service. It's pretty much like you paying you to financially coach my kids to teach them this and give me a leg up. So test it with parents, but that's just me. I'm just a parent. I've experienced this problem before. I'd be curious what other parents have to say. That's a little pro tip for you from your startup advisor. Now let's look at funding here. We are raising $300,000 pre-seed round to complete development, launch the app on the store, and acquire our first 15,000 customers. Okay, I like what you're saying there. Don't say pre-seed round, okay? So just say we're raising $300,000 to complete development, launch in the app store, and acquire our first customers. And I would just say customers, not say 15,000 customers. Now, what you've been missing is your go-to-market strategy to prove to me that you are able to go get those customers, right? So how are you going to advertise and spend this? And you want to use the hack. But you got use of funds, key outcomes. I like it. Next steps, great. That's fine. But in terms of next steps, how you want to get to 50,000 euros, you're making a lot of assumptions that $300,000 is going to get you there. I would make sure that you just say, hey, we're going to have our first paying users because we have all the infrastructure. That's the inflection point that you need. I don't know if you need to be committing to this number, Henry, just letting you know. That's it. All right, Henry. So let me talk to you first as your 14-year-old self. Maybe you've grown since then, but for 14, you are so much further ahead in terms of what you're doing, identifying the problem, solving it, and putting together a great pitch deck. I think you're going to get a lot of adults on board as you continue to do this. Make sure you pick your advisors carefully, work with your parents to know who to bring in your circle and who to trust. There are a lot of grants out there for young entrepreneurs, and I would be squeezing that for all it's worth. Maybe even get your parents to set up a GoFundMe page and get your parents to reach out to other parents they know and your friends' parents, and I would keep working at it. Like I said, bright future ahead for you, Henry. I appreciate your courage and you just going in there and signing for Startups.com and trying to learn all this stuff. That's the 14-year-old you. The adult you treats you as an adult founder. You need to push further and research. You've proven that you already can do this with problem solution, but you have to battle test and get more into a lot of the ways that you think you're going to make money and how you're going to go to market and what you're telling investors in terms of how you're building, and prove to everyone 14 years old. You're asking for a lot of money. You're asking for $300,000. That is a lot of money, man. And for 14 years old, I'm just going to be straightforward with you. I can't think of an investor that's going to give a 14-year-old $300,000 of money. I can think of many founders that will participate in a program and the investors will invest that money to give you mentorship and all those things until you have more traction. That being said, you're 14 years old and you can go get that traction. Let's say you bootstrap or you get, some parents, some friendly aunts and uncles to YOLO some money in, and you get that traction and you're 14 years old and you got the proper infrastructure. Then I believe a lot of people are going to throw money at you. Why? because your story, 14 years old, you're solving your problem, you got domain expertise, you can go out there, and I believe that you'll get a lot more earned media. You can go and become a darling, get PR going, and make sure you work with your parents on that, because PR and all this stuff out there, it is brutal, and I would hate for my kids. I got a YouTuber kid who's got over 38,000, almost 40,000 subs, and he's 19, and the mental toll that just having that much exposure is taken on him with that. If you want to take this to the next level, you're going to need hundreds of thousands of people to be looking at you, eyeballs on you, press scrutinizing you, but you have a really good chance of getting that because you're so unique as a founder. So push it further and work with the adults to walk you through something called the idea maze, where they're going to push and they're going to stretch your idea and try and challenge you. So you battle test all your assumptions. So you come out as a founder at 14 years old, talking like you're an 18, 21-year-old founder, which you're already so far along the path on. So kudos to you. Thanks for sending this in, and look forward to seeing all your future success, Henry, whether it's this startup or whatever you put your hand to. I believe that you're going to be successful. Once again, congratulations. Kudos to you. And a shout out to your parents. They've done good. Make sure you tell your parents that Ed, Chief Strategy Officer, Startups.com, think they've done an amazing job, and all the adults in your life have supported you clearly well. I appreciate you. If you're a founder out there, like I said, and you want your own pitch deck critiqued and reviewed, make sure you leave a comment and put in your comment what startup you are trying to build. You're going to get a response, and we're going to just walk you through a few hoops, because we have so many founders that want pitch decks critiqued and reviewed. Now, if you're part of Startups.com, you don't have to wait. You get right there, priority list. We're going to throw it on there as quick as possible. But if you're not, we have a big demand. So we want to make sure that every pitch deck that we critique and review is valuable to the other founders in the community and on the internet. We want to help all the other founders out there. So that's the reason we're just going to ask you a few questions. We're going to make you do a few things just to qualify for the critique and review, and then we can get going on it. So that's what we're going to do. Look forward to all your submissions, and to everybody else, once again, like, comment, subscribe, share this with another founder that you think would be helpful. If you made it this far in the video, thanks so much for hanging out. I'll see you in the next pitch deck critique and review.